Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 24th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Alonso, joined on the computer by Nicholas O'Brien because we're home for the holidays. How was
Winter
your
break.
Merry Christmas?
It is very good, very good. I got this cool little neat toy in the
Spider-Man!
back. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, good Christmas, good break. But, we've been a little active. Some things went down, some things didn't go down.
Yep.
But
We'll get into it.
good holiday.
Yamamoto signed with the Dodgers. We'll get into that.
Yep.
Had some interesting discussions on potential things with the Yankees rotation. Who knows what happens with Stanton?
Right.
And yeah.
What are the Mets going to do?
What are the Mets? I don't know. Find out what they're gonna do.
I know. Yeah.
And
we'll find out in Queens.
Queens.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Queens. So, not much has changed since we had a full-length episode. Obviously, we had a small minor trade with the Brewers that brought in Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor.
I wouldn't say that's minor. I wouldn't call it major, but I wouldn't call it minor.
In my opinion, it's not like needle moving, so I kind of consider that minor. You know what? You see where I'm going there?
Yeah, just finish what you're saying.
Right. But I like the trade. I put out a video a couple days ago highlighting that trade in more detail. But to give you the rundown, Adrian Hauser, fifth starter, swingman type, very solid pitcher. He has a career 4 ERA. He's due a little under $6 million. And for a fifth starter, I would say that's a pretty good deal considering where the market's at for those types of starters right now. Bear in mind, I would say he had a better season than Lance Lynn, and Lance Lynn got, $10 million?
Yeah.
Right. Adrian Hauser is due a little less than $6 million. And then Tyrone Taylor, not sure what his role is going to be yet. I think that kind of will change as the offseason goes, depending if the Mets sign an outfielder or something like that. But as of right now, he's probably penciled in as your left fielder. And he's solid. He's a great defender, solid bat. He had a terrific second half, posting an OPS over 800. And he had some clutch hits, and he had a really cool home run during the wild card game. But again, more detail in the other video we put out the other day. But besides that, obviously the big news is
Can I say,
Yoshinobu.
since we're on Hauser, can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I like the move. I really like it because, like you said, it's a fifth starter. But tell me a fifth starter that you're going to get that has potential to have a 3.2 ERA in 140 innings. He's had a sub-4 ERA in 2 actual years. In non-COVID, in non-rookie years, he's thrown over 100 innings. And you gave up essentially nothing for that. So many people are like, oh, this is the big... No, it's great depth, and I don't know. I almost curve stuff on how I grade it based on how big the value is. This isn't going to be a big move. So I value this as a great trade. Just because he's... Yeah,
I definitely like the trade as well. And, I should mention, the guy they gave up was right-handed pitcher Coleman Crowe, who came over from the Eduardo Escobar trade. He's missing most, if not all, of the year with Tommy John. So it's kind of like...
It's nothing.
The Brewers are taking a flyer on him to see how he comes back from Tommy John. But Adrian Hauser is going to help the Mets
Last
now
3
in
years,
2024.
26 starts, 21 starts, 21 starts.
Right. And Tyrone Taylor's under control for 3 years, including 2024. So I think this trade makes a ton of sense, and I really like it.
Yeah, and even if he's not going to be in your future, you're telling me that, either at the deadline or next year, you're not going to get decent value out of a guy that's 2 years of control left?
Right. Yeah,
So-
exactly. Worst case scenario, you flip him at the deadline.
Yeah.
But going off from the trade, obviously the big news was Yoshinobu Yamamoto signing with the Dodgers, killing both of our dreams and all the collective Mets and Yankees fans out there.
More so for the Mets, I'd say, but
Definitely. I think it affects the Mets. I don't want to say a little bit more, but I don't want to say it's like end all be all.
it's a lot more. The Mets offseason was a lot more reliant on Yamamoto than the Yankees.
Definitely. And if you look at it, Yamamoto's 25 years old. Say what you want about the competitive level of the Mets next year. Yamamoto is going to fit that competition window, if you want to call it, better than any other free agent pitcher out there for the Mets. So losing out on Yamamoto was a tough pill to swallow, definitely.
Would you?
But
finish what you're gonna say.
No, I was going to go into like specifics of the contract.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Okay.
How you felt about it?
So Yamamoto signed 12 years, $325 million with the Dodgers. The Mets offered the same exact contract. Now, in the past, on our podcast, I've mentioned how 10 years for a pitcher is insane. 12 years for a pitcher. I know he's 25 years old, but holy crap, 12 years for a pitcher. I would have been perfectly fine if the Mets offered him that contract and he signed. Let me just preface that. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I wouldn't be worried about this contract whatsoever, because 12 years for a pitcher is a lot.
Yeah. I will say this. There's 3 opt-outs, or is it 2? I know there's one after the 6th and the 9th year. So, yeah, after the 6th and the 9th year. Yeah. So, I mean, paying for his prime years, and if he's good, he's opting out, and you're not on the end for that money.
Right. So, there's some maybe future outlook there, but obviously that's going to be years down the road. But as of right now, the Mets missed out on the big fish, and it's unfortunate. I think...
Can I add on to the contract thing?
Yeah.
It was not the Mets' fault that he didn't sign with him. I think he was going to the Dodgers. He pretty much said, like, yeah, I was going to the Dodgers. I wanted to play for the Dodgers. Like, the Mets offered him the 12-year, $325 million contract. Then he called up the Dodgers. The Dodgers matched it. He signed it. He didn't give the Mets another chance. He wanted to play for the Dodgers, playing for the Dodgers.
Right. And that's exactly the next point I was going to make. It seemed like he wanted to be a Dodger from the get-go. Say what you want if he was going to follow Ohtani. He said he didn't want to, but I'm sure that helped a lot that Ohtani went to the Dodgers.
He did say in the press conference that he thinks he... Because this is such a hard... Because you saw how, like, it was... Like, what he actually said was, like, translated wrong.
Yeah.
So he said he might have still gone to the Dodgers had it not been for Ohtani. Who knows?
Right.
But...
Yeah. Take that for what you will, but Ohtani being there definitely helped. And it's unfortunate. You know, it's hard to compete with the Dodgers where the Mets are at this point. Well, I love my team, but I know it's not the destination to be for free agents right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a tough sell, you know, being basically David Stearns being a salesperson for the Mets. It's kind of a little downgrade of a product, if you want to say that, to where you could go elsewhere. So you're trying to sell a lower end product to, you know, someone who's making a life-changing decision.
Yeah. And it is also a thing of most people would rather the Yankees than the Mets if you're going to sell them on New York.
Right.
So that's like another thing that is like hard about it. And
definitely. So it's unfortunate, but, you know, life moves on. The Mets have to move on. I really would have liked to see Yamamoto in a Mets uniform with Senga, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. So I know we sent out a quick little video, I believe it was last week, about quickly where the Mets going to pivot, where the Yankees going to pivot. But to more detail, there's not much else that has come out in the past week. I mean, obviously for the holidays, a lot of things slow down. But Mets fans, it's probably going to be a long winter, and it's probably going to be a longer season, unfortunately. There's not a lot of top guys that fit, like I said, the competitive window, if you want to call it, for the Mets. And it doesn't seem like they're really interested in Jordan Montgomery. They're not really interested in Blake Snell, who are, I would say, probably the best two, right? Then after that, it's the tier below, and maybe even the tier below that the Mets are really looking, you know.
What's the Moneyball line?
He gets on base.
No, I was the 30 feet.
Yeah, exactly. So don't expect big signings. Don't expect big trades. I just don't think it's going to happen this offseason, and it seems like a lot of experts and a lot of people within the industry expect that as well. But someone they have looked at, Lucas Giolito, who I've mentioned in the past, you know, worst case scenario, he eats innings. I think a 1-year deal. He probably wants a 2-year deal, but 2-year deal for an option, 1-year deal for vesting option, things like that can always be worked out. But I do think Lucas Giolito is a better fit than most because he's gonna probably want to try to revive his value because it surely tanked after the year he had. And at the end of the day, he eats innings, he pitches, he's there every fifth day, and that's what the Mets need.
I think you could also sell him on a thing like, this is a low pressure situation to revitalize your value, and also if we're not good at the deadline, you want to go to a contender, we'll flip you to a contender.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
You throw in an extra million or two to get a good prospect at the deadline, I think that's fine.
Exactly. You pay like the rest of the contract, whatever. And that's what I think, if there are going to be trades, I think that's going to be the key. It's going to be like the Hauser and Taylor signing, where it's a combined $7 million for a fifth starter and a fourth outfielder type. So teams who want to get that off the books, I think this is where the Mets come in and be like, hey, we'll take on the contract, obviously, lower the return, take on that contract and see where things go. But, I don't think they're trading for a Dylan Cease. I don't think they're trading for a Corbin Burns or anyone else like that.
I think Cease's value is also overly inflated right now. Like,
right.
I'm seeing so many things that, like, if the Yankees were to do it, they would have to give up, like, 2 top 5 prospects, 2 top 4 prospects.
Right. Yeah, the White Sox want a haul for Cease. Yeah. And I've never been as high on Cease as others, so I'm
high on him, but not that high. That's like...
Right.
That's like them saying we don't want to trade him, but if you want to give us everything, we'll trade him.
Yeah, exactly. So, the Mets have also checked in on another Japanese pitcher, Shota Imanaga. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
I think that's
right. Yamamoto. But he is a left-handed pitcher. He is older than Yamamoto. I believe he's around 30 years old, and he's not going to want that 1-year, 2-year contract. He's probably going to want something similar to Senga's, who got 5 years, 700. 5 years, 75 million. Sorry, imagine. But
700,000.
Yeah, exactly. League minimum. Come on over. But Shota's going to want a longer-term contract, something like Senga's. So I'm not sure how well that fits for the Mets. I personally wouldn't mind, depending on the contract. If it is something similar to Senga's, I wouldn't mind. But he does have some question marks. I believe he gave up the most home runs in the NPB last year. And obviously the transition from, Japan to MLB is always going to be a big topic. But, like I've said in the past, after Yamamoto, the Mets are really going to look at the reclamation projects and the guys who are just going to give you innings and just any upside they can find on this market, which isn't a ton. Like, obviously you have guys like Lucas Giolito. There's guys like Hyunjin Ryu who are trying to get value back. There's guys like James Paxton who had a okay year after falling off a cliff. Right.
It's not even the thing of, like, skill. It's just, dude, his injuries are some of the most concerning in the league. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
That's the issue with a lot of these pitchers. It's just injuries and or just...
I think him more than, like, anyone, though, on, like, the market.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame the Mets from staying away from that, but that's who they have to deal with right now. And besides pitchers, I mentioned in the Yamamoto video that you don't necessarily need an elite starting rotation to be quote-unquote competitive, which the Mets have said they want to be. Like, the Orioles had a very okay rotation last year. The Diamondbacks made it all the way to the World Series. Although I know Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly are a good 1-2, the rest of the rotation was pretty awful. So you don't need an elite rotation. So I think the Mets could pivot to more an offensive approach and sign guys like Teoscar Hernandez who could play left field and or DH. You know, use.
Can I add something about him quick? I saw
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
the Red Sox are going like really hard for him, and
Yeah.
the Angels are kind of like secondary in the market, and they said that if bidding does happen, they're thinking like a 4 or 5 year deal, for what it ends
Yeah.
up being.
If that's the case, then no, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't. 5 years, definitely not. 4 years.
I think it said like a minimum
maybe.
of 3, probably at least 4.
Yeah, 3 years is probably where I'd like to stay. I would have really liked the Mets to go after Lourdes Gurriel, but obviously he re-signed with the Diamondbacks. I think he got a 2-year deal, right? I think it
Sounds
was.
right.
I think it was a 2-year for third-year option. But something like that I would have liked. But on more concrete, I guess, evidence, the Mets
3-year
had-
deal that includes a club
Plus
option
years.
for 2027. So I think it's a 3-year
Okay.
plus an option for a 4th,
Okay,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Yeah,
it was
so
342, just for the numbers.
not bad. Like, what was it? 15
14.
a year? 14 a year? Yeah. I think that would have been perfect, but unfortunately, we move on. But going on to more concrete evidence, the Mets have talked. Oh, I'm not sorry. I don't know if they've talked to him, but they have shown interest in JD Martinez. Obviously, that's your DH first guy. He's not playing the outfield
No.
whatsoever.
If you want to
So
be
he-
competitive, he is not playing the outfield.
Right. So he is your DH. Obviously, he had I don't want to say career year, but he revived his career almost with the Dodgers last year. And obviously, with the signing of Ohtani, their DH spot is filled. So Martinez is going to have to look
I
elsewhere.
mean, 33 home runs, a 134 OPS plus.
Right. And I'm always skeptical on signing guys after a Dodgers year.
What, Nick? He had a stolen base.
Oh my God, I'm in. That's it. I'm in. Give it to me. 2 years, whatever he wants. No.
10 years.
But I know different position player and pitcher, but look at Tyler Anderson. He had a really good year with the Dodgers. The Angels signed him because, of course, they did, and he was really bad with the Angels because, of course, he was. So that's just the things I'm worried about. And for a full DH guy, you want 2023 JD Martinez, not 2022.
Yeah.
You need the 30 home runs who can, protect Pete Alonso, be a middle of the order bat, not the guy who hit, what was it, like 15?
I'm looking right
Even
now.
reach 15 in 2022? I know
Where's
his
home
power
runs?
was zapped.
16.
16, yeah. So you want double that.
Still had a
if you're signing
117
JD
OPS
Martinez.
plus, though.
That's not bad.
No.
That's not bad. But as much as I would have liked JD Martinez, and this is something we didn't really get to talk about.
Oh my
in
God.
length,
Can I cut you
is-
off one really quick?
Yeah, go
Those, where is it? Those 33 home runs was in 113 games. That is, you talk, I'm going to do math.
That's elite production. That is elite production. But obviously, with his age, there are injury concerns. I'm not sure what
He was on
happened
pace for
last
47
year.
home runs. Go on.
Love that. That
That-
would have been
yeah.
nice. But just something we couldn't talk about at length was Ronnie Mauricio's ACL injury, who is now going to be out for probably the whole year. I doubt we see him this year, which is really unfortunate.
Sorry if
but-
you hear my dogs.
Yeah, come
Stupid
on, shut up,
pups.
Barney. But come on, get your dogs.
Dude, I know, it's
quiet.
bad.
No, but I've never been as high on Mauricio as others, but it still sucks to see him go down like this. He definitely would have been in competition for probably the third base job. But this paves the way for Brett Beatty to take another crack at it. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that, but
But why?
well, yeah, because Beatty obviously had a really bad rookie year. He started off okay, Then he got hot for like a couple weeks, and then he just plummeted. And so I understand fans' impatience with that, but Beatty has the opportunity to take this and run with the third base
Yeah.
job.
And my opinion on that is, sorry for cutting you off. I saw you going like,
You're good.
yeah. No, but the Mets most likely are not going to be in competition to win the division. You may sneak into the wild card.
Right.
I think that the only way that you guys can even get close to making the playoffs is if you have Beatty playing third and he actually lives up to the hype. The only way the Mets will be somewhat good and somewhat watchable is if guys like Beatty actually live in and Alvarez actually live up to the hype that they have. So
Definitely.
I think that it's one of those things of you have to more Beatty than Alvarez, but I'm just mentioning because I'm saying like young kids. When it comes to a guy like Beatty, you have to play him. Like,
Yep.
what do you have to? You literally have nothing to lose. He's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, there's never gonna be the what if.
Right. Yeah. You give him a full year, and if he's still not panning out,
Then it's done.
all right. Yeah, in 2025, Brett Beatty is not your third baseman.
Yeah.
You look elsewhere. But going off of that, as much as I would like JD Martinez, and I can't believe I'm saying this in the
I know
year
what you're gonna say.
2023,
I think I know what you're gonna say.
almost 2024, I think Justin
Yeah.
Turner I think Justin Turner fits the Mets a little bit better than a JD Martinez.
They
What do
have
you
been
think?
linked to him.
They have. But obviously, Justin Turner is not. I don't think he's a great defender anymore. I don't even know
I'll check
if
for you.
he's a good defender. But obviously, he can fill that DH role like JD Martinez can. And obviously, there's some history there.
Some.
So, a little bit, a tad. So I'm not sure how interested he would be after being non-tendered all those years
He's
ago.
not qualified for fielding run value because he just didn't play the field enough.
Okay, yeah. So I think that kind of tells the story there. The Red Sox didn't really want him in the field, which I don't really blame them. He's 39 years old, so he is almost 40.
I will say, 86th percentile run value.
See, that's what you're signing him for. You need his power. You need his bat. I mean, he had a really good year last year. Yeah, at exactly 800 OPS.
23 homers.
he
4
has
times
not-
the amount of stolen bases as JD Martinez.
Oh my goodness. Speed threat on the bases, he's in.
9th percentile in speed.
But he has not, besides, what year is this? 2022. He has not had an OPS under 800 since 2013, which was his last year with the Mets, go figure. So besides 2022, he has had an OPS over 800 in every year from 2013 to now. And if Brett Beatty doesn't pan out, or if you want to give Beatty some rest and kind of rotate him out, you can have Turner stand at third.
Yeah.
He's not going to be great. He's probably going to be a hard watch, but I think he can still play a little bit of third base. But you are signing him primarily for that DH role.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like you said, if the Mets really want to be competitive, they're not going to get that out of free agency, I don't think. You need to fill out the rotation. You need to get guys who will give you innings, like Lucas Giolito. And you need the kids to just start hitting. Alvarez had a phenomenal year. The standards that I think were put on him.
Especially as a catcher, too.
Right, 21 years old, catcher. His defense was much better than anticipated. His offense was almost as advertised, and I still know there's more in that bat. But obviously he has things to work on, and he knows that too. In a lot of interviews that he's had, he knows there's things he has to work on, and I appreciate that coming from a player.
And how many moments did he look overmatched when he first came up? And then the more and more he played in those big moments, he was a lot better. He may not have got the hit, but he looked so much more comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. It all goes back to that Josh Hader inning where he struck out on 3 pitches.
I was
nowhere
literally
near
thinking of the
strike
Josh
zone.
Hader inning when I said that.
Right. And then I forgot how many, maybe a month later, he had a big home run against the Rays, and then he had a hell of a game against the Rockies. Take that for what you will. But
Where was it?
the point still stands. It was at the course.
Okay, never mind then.
So yeah, take it for what you will. But he did look a lot better. He looked a lot calmer. He's not swinging out of his shoes, which is what I was looking for. So Alvarez has the potential. Beatty, again, needs to grab this opportunity by the throat and just run with it.
Yeah.
Because this is, I hate to say this is his last year to prove it, because it's only his second full year.
If he has a full year, it kind of is.
Right. So this can be make or break for Brett Beatty, and I still have high hopes for him. I still think he can be the future third baseman of this team. And he needs to prove it. He needs to hit, and he needs to play some solid defense. But besides that, you're relying on a lot of depth and a lot of average pitchers to get you through this. And you have some guys coming up in the upper minors, like Drew Gilbert, like Luis Angel Acuna. Jet Williams is racing to the majors.
Can I say something really quick about Beatty? I will say this. There is somewhat of an okay free agent class for third baseman next year. You have Alex Bregman headlining it. You have a team option on Yohan Moncada for $25 million, so they're not going to accept that. There's no way.
Yep.
You have a club option for Suarez for $15 million. Do the Diamondbacks take that? Who knows?
Right.
Brennan Drury is going to be a free agent, and those are just kind of like, J.D. Davis.
Reunion.
So, but no, like those first 4 guys, I think. I mean, if Steve Cohen really is like the guy that everyone says he is, no one's gonna outbid him. If he needs a third baseman and Bregman's there, how do you not get him?
Right.
Especially that righty power bat, like.
Right. That's exactly what I was gonna say. If Brett Beatty doesn't pan out, you go get Bregman. That's kind of the way I think Steve Cohen might want to operate, and obviously you have other guys who by 2025 you think should be on the roster, so will then, take some money off the books. By 2025, you're looking at Drew Gilbert being in the outfield. Maybe Luis Angel Acuna is your second baseman. Maybe Jet Williams is ready. You have guys
which
that
also
can
hurts Beatty, by the way,
salary.
If Jet Williams is ready, because then because his only other place who wasn't going to play third be the outfield.
Right. So there's guys that can not only push out Beatty, but just take his place outright.
Yeah.
So again, I hate to say make or break, but Brett Beatty has to prove something this year.
He does.
If the Mets want to be competitive, I think that is something they're keeping an eye on.
100% agree with that.
That's all I got for the Mets. Again, there's not really much else to go off of, but that's where we are currently before the new year.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something. So, do you think that the Mets ever are going to reset the luxury tax with Cohen as the owner? Bandit and Barney have opinions.
I know. They're yelling.
Sorry about this.
Sorry. I need to think. I'm not so sure. I think when you say reset, you mean like under the first threshold.
Run with it how you want.
So I was going to say that I'm not so sure they're ever going to be under the threshold completely.
Mm-hmm.
I think the plan is obviously to get under the Steve Cohen threshold and just decrease from there. But the way I think he wants to spend and the way he wants to be competitive, I don't think they're ever truly going to be under.
I agree.
Like that first threshold.
And
these pups.
I know, they're crazy. This is a question that I thought it was a lot closer than it really was when I wrote it down, but might as well ask because it does tie in with this. Given the option, would you still have done the Lindor trade?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's
Absolutely.
what I thought it was a lot closer when I thought of the question, but then I really deep dived because I was thinking you're very conservative when it comes to money. You don't want to spend as much. You don't want to say blow it all up. Pretty hefty contract. Okay.
I think he's been well worth the contract.
I would agree with you after looking
popular belief.
After looking at because I thought Jimenez was a better hitter last year, So
Right,
after looking at everything, I would agree. But if Jimenez was like what he was like in 2022, then
Yeah.
I think it's a fair
Yeah,
question.
it's a little closer. Yeah, definitely. And when they gave up Jimenez, I was a little, I guess you could call it upset. I would have liked to keep him. I really liked what he showed in 2020. But obviously, if you have to give him up for
Yeah.
Lindor, I probably do that trade, 9 out of 10 times.
Mm.
The one time me being extremely conservative and prospect hugging.
Well,
But
I
no,
would say more for the
Lindor has been
money.
huge. Oh, the money? I think he's been well worth it. He's been one of the better shortstops, call it what you want. He's a top 3 shortstop, and he's not 3. So up for debate there, but he's one of the better players in the game, period. He's been in, I believe, top 10 in WAR the past 2 seasons as a Met. So 2 out of the 3 seasons as a Met, he's been top 10 in WAR, if I'm not mistaken. But, and look, and off the field stuff, great leader, great clubhouse guy, it seems. And he's a pleasure to watch just on defense as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a 31 season, almost 100 RBIs in that lineup. He had a 120 OPS plus, and that's not even including his defense.
Right. So, very glad Francisco Lindor is a Met. He's one of the very few pieces of this team that is,
Ninth in
locked up
MVP the
long-term.
last 2 years.
Right. So, I think he's been well worth it, and he's a pleasure to watch. So.
Yeah. And like I said, I thought it was a lot closer before actually deep diving into the numbers.
Right. But, yeah, that's all I got for the Mets. We'll see what happens. Probably more moves after the new year, if I were to guess. So, this is the last Queens of 2023. So, thank you guys for being along for Queens. But
Guten Tag.
we got more to talk about.
Is it Guten Tag? That's thank you?
No idea.
As Wiedersehen? I don't even know.
Gracias.
I can't even speak English, bro.
Exactly.
All right, but yeah. On to the Bronx.
Bronx.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bronx. All right, so
Hi.
let's start off with 2 guys that ended up going elsewhere, signing contracts. Or, yeah, we'll do that. Jung-Hoo Lee signed a 6-year, $113 million contract with the Giants.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Once they got Verdugo, and they also got I can't think of his name now, Grisham, you knew that they weren't going to get it because he would have played that kind of 4th outfielder spot. And honestly, probably for the better, because you do have a lot of people in the farm system. And my thing with Lee is I love Jung-Hoo Lee a lot. Is this just me, or is that a good bit of money?
Oh my God. I think
That was...
it's a lot more than I thought he was going to
Yeah.
get. And I think industry-wide, that's a lot more than a lot of people thought
I
he
was
gonna
perfectly okay with 575, but 6,113, that's... Especially for a guy
it's a
where
little steep.
Korea is a tick below Japan. Japan's a tick below MLB. So it's that, plus he is a contact guy. It's not like he wouldn't hit... I don't think he would have hit maybe 1 year that year he would hit more than 10 home runs.
Yeah.
Maybe one.
Especially in San Francisco now.
Yeah. Even
a
at
lefty.
Yankee Stadium.
Right. He's going to have, 10 home runs, 1 at Oracle and 9 on the road or whatever.
So, obviously really wanted him. A lot of money. Sucks. I hope he does well, though. Then the big one, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I said that right?
You did.
Let's go. He signed with the Dodgers, 12 years, $325 million contract with 2 opt-outs. I could be wrong, but I think the Yankees had a better contract they offered him. They offered him a 10-year, $300 million. Just wait.
Yep.
So you had about 3 to 5 more AAV. I can't remember what the exact number is. On top of that, the Dodgers, their opt-out was after the 6th and the 9th. The Yankees was after the 5th was after the, I think, 5th and the 8th. So the opt-outs were earlier. The Dodgers contract is backloaded, so he would have gotten a significant amount much more money with the Yankees. Just thinking he wanted to play for the Dodgers.
Yeah, definitely. He left money money right now on the table. Obviously, total guaranteed. I think that's probably what he was looking for.
Mm.
I think the 12 years is what really sold him, if I were to think. But who knows? Obviously, very competitive offers nonetheless. The Yankees sending an offer at $300 million for a guy who's never pitched in the United States is a competitive offer, no matter what other people
Well, no,
may
he
say.
didn't. Alex Verdugo owned him.
So true.
In the WBC.
I forgot about that. That's why. He was scared to be teammates with the guy who owned him.
I'd be scared of being teammates with Alex Verdugo, too.
Especially when he's clean-shaven.
Oh, my God. He looks like he owns a Fortnite channel. But what was I going to say? One of the reasons they said they didn't want to give him more than Cole. I don't know if I believe that or not. Because because the Yankees realize the market's different, and you're going all in on a guy, you're not going to care. Garrett Cole's not going to be like, no, I'm the ace and I have to be paid the most amount of money.
Right.
I don't
think he's that guy.
Yeah,
I don't think he's that type of guy. And if that is the real reason, I honestly think that's a pretty lame excuse.
I do as well.
But
I don't blame them for not going over 300 though. I think that was an incredibly competitive offer.
Definitely.
Incredibly.
It
if he wanted to go to the Yankees, he would have taken that over the Dodgers offer.
Right.
And it's just... But my thinking is, do you think that affects them with Soto at all? Or in the sense of they don't want to give Soto more than Judge?
Honestly, that's a good question to ask. I mean, personally, if it is true, I think that maybe they don't want to give Soto as much as Judge. I think this is probably going to come out a lot worse than I mean it, but if they respect Cole that much, not offer someone else like more than his contract, I think that respect for Judge is just like a step higher.
I'd say 2.
Especially because he's captain.
Captain, homegrown.
Right. So I think if that's the case, then I think that does kind of deter my outlook on a long-term Soto deal, but who really knows?
I don't think that matters. I think that Judge is also the type of guy that's like, if Cashman tells him that, Judge may throw him through a window.
Right.
Like, he may be like, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, and I also don't think you trade for Soto knowing that you're not going to even be close on the extension. Like, it could be a thing like you may not extend him, but if you're trading him knowing there's absolutely no chance you're going to extend him, then it's like...
Yeah. Then what are you doing? What you doing, baby?
Like, seriously. And...
Yeah, I agree there.
So
It's a very good question.
I don't believe it, personally.
Yeah.
They sent a scout to every one of Yamamoto's starts last year. Cashman was there in person for a game. You pulled out how many stops for him? I just think they got outbid. And I just realized I had the Queens overlay on this entire time. So we're just going to take you off and take... You guys saw nothing.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about, Willis?
You're colorblind. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is how you find out.
Yeah, Adrian. That's my cousin. Hi, Adrian. He's colorblind, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, I don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want. I don't really have an opinion on it, but.
And since we're already talking, actually, yeah, I'll say this since we're talking about. I know, since we're already talking about Soto, he said that he hasn't personally, or there was an article that Gary Phillips wrote that Juan Soto hasn't personally talked to Dominguez, but he offered to help him through his rehab. So I love to hear that.
What a guy.
To hear Juan Soto teaching Jason Dominguez. Because how many times did I talk about how Dominguez's plate discipline reminded me so much of Soto? Just because of that, to be so young, all that. So if he's teaching him, I mean, that earns him a contract itself.
Right. Yeah.
So
Look, if you have like another pseudo captain or another team leader, like you love that on a team. You
yeah,
love guys picking up each other and stuff like that. So, especially at a guy like Soto at such a young age to be, kind of
both
like that team
Dominican.
leader.
There's a lot of similarities between the two of them.
Right, and he can help him, coming up with so much hype surrounding you at such a young age. Like, Soto can help Dominguez kind of not figure himself out,
Soto
but,
is a 5 year
you know,
older Dominguez in that sense, where like they had minus the Tommy John, they essentially had the same career path with like all
right,
the hype coming up so young, like the
right,
play discipline being out of this world, like all that stuff is like so slow. Having a superstar that's been there for a while on your team, Bryce Harper. So just yeah,
right. So, love to hear that.
yeah, and then I will go into. I'll go into this. So Esteban Florial, that era is finally finished. He was traded to the Guardians for Cordy Morris. I think that this is I like the move overall.
Yeah.
I think for a couple of reasons. One, Florial had no options. I don't see him making the major league team. So it just been you would have had DFA him. Cody Morris has 2 options left, and I think 2 years of control, maybe 3. I want to say 3 years of control actually, but just everyone's saying that like. Because when I saw about the move, everyone was like, "Oh, why did they trade for a guy that has 6.75 ERA in 2023?" He only pitched 8 innings. In 2022, pitched 23 and 2/3 innings, 2.28 ERA.
Yeah.
And also, I remember in
Come on.
2022, there was a game where the Yankees needed to score in the playoffs, and he shut them down for 2 innings.
Right.
So I like the move.
Yeah, it's
It's
you're
a
not
good
giving
move.
up of anything of value.
You're
I
giving
mean,
up. Yeah.
Look, again, like you said, Florial didn't have a spot on this roster. He was not going to play over. I don't even think he was going to play over Grisham.
I don't think he would have
Which
played over
says a lot.
I don't think he would have played over Pereira.
Right, right. So
So
you
he would have been
have
what,
a
the 6th
lot better
outfielder?
options. Right, and then just to get back a live body for Esteban
Who actually
Florial.
has upside?
Right, you take that every day of the week.
Because you never.
But I like the
Because
move as well.
he also keep in mind he came up in the Guardians system. Matt Blake was the AAA pitching coach.
Right.
Could be something
So
there.
I'm sure Matt Blake liked something there, but
Exactly.
I digress.
Yeah, just wanted to like mention that there. Love that move. And now this is a talk or something that I thought of because I saw like a lot of like Yankee lineups penciling in Stanton to the 4 hole. Do you think, depending if you want to do righty lefty and like the righty would be 4 or 5, do you think Stanton has to earn back that 4/5 hole?
I've seen this as well, and
What I
know
said or the penciling in?
both.
Mm.
I do think he has to somewhat earn back a better spot in the lineup. And I know a lot of it's due to injuries that, he just can't play, so obviously he's not doing anything. But after the year he had, I think it's tough because obviously the potential is there. We've seen it. You know what a healthy Giancarlo Stanton can do. But I think you do have some decent options in this lineup construction that can move Stanton down and maybe relieve some pressure off of him and see if he can kind of, I don't want to say bounce back, but, have a better year than last year.
In March/April last year, he had a 131 WRC plus. Then he got hurt,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure that every year he does like really well in the beginning of the year. Then he just gets hurt. Like let me.
Right. Yeah, if he starts off hot out of the gate, I obviously haven't, I don't want to say paid attention, but I haven't looked too deep
Yeah,
into
last
it.
year 104 in March/April, in May 180, in June 140.
Right. So, yeah, if he starts off hot out of the gate, then you play him up in the order.
Yeah.
But if I think spring training is going to tell a little bit more, like if you kind of see him not necessarily struggling, but if you see some signs that maybe point towards the direction of a small decline, then I think that's when you need to start thinking about moving him down.
For me, also, like you mentioned spring training, I think that you just can't look at spring training whatsoever. Just because, like, I mean, maybe for, like, bad signs, but, like, I don't think he could do anything in spring training. Because I'd agree, I don't think he should just pencil it in the 4 or 5. I don't think he could do anything in spring training to earn that spot.
Right.
Or, like, he shouldn't. I think
That's fair.
how I would do it is depending if you're going to do righty, lefty, whatever it is, he's either 6 or 7 start the year. Because I don't think that you could hit him 8th or 9th. Like, I think that's just, like, just based off the type of hitter he is, especially with, like, you have younger guys that you don't want to bat them in front of Stan. And it's just, like, right now, going into the year, Glaber's more consistent than him.
Right.
DJ, who knows? But it's, like, a thing of, it's so tough just based off the roster construction, because it is really just champagne problems. Like, oh, no,
Definitely.
where are you going to hit Judge and Soto? Oh, no.
I know. Oh, my goodness.
So
Right.
it's like, but...
Like, real quick, Fangraphs right now, their projected lineup is LeMahieu, Judge, Soto, Rizzo, Torres, Verdugo, Stanton, Volpe, Wells. So they have Stanton penciled in 7th.
Say that one more time.
So DJ,
Okay.
Judge, Soto,
Okay.
Rizzo, Torres, Verdugo, Stanton, Volpe, Wells. And then, you switch Wells and
That's what I
Trevino.
was thinking, honestly, though.
Like that exact.
Like, kind of that, we're like, Glaber 5, you'd have Judge 2, Soto 3, Rizzo 4. So that's like...
No matter what, I don't think Stan could be hitting above
Glaber.
Glaber.
To start the year,
I think
at
that's
least.
malpractice.
To start the year, at least. Because I could also see
definitely.
a thing of... Because honestly, I would debate, and this is tough, I would debate switching DJ and Glaber.
So Glaber leadoff, you think?
Yeah. Like, best case scenario, Volpe's your leadoff hitter by middle of the year. But I don't think that... We still got to see on that. But I like Glaber so much more in leadoff because he gives you that power. He does get on base a decent bit, no matter what people want to tell you. And you have DJ with 5 guys in front of him. Or 4 guys in front of him that get on base, and you're going to put him in a spot where he could drive in those runs. He had over 100 RBIs in 2019 batting leadoff. That's crazy.
Right.
So you, in RBI, say what you want, but his whole thing was hitting with runners in scoring position. You put him 5 behind Glaber, Judge, Soto, and Rizzo.
Right.
And
I think that's a match made in heaven.
You're going to have to pitch around some of those guys, so unless you go 1, 2, 3 every inning, he's going to have a lot of guys on base.
Right.
And
I
then
think that's exactly what
you have,
want.
if Verdugo can somewhat be decent, you have Verdugo behind him. Behind him, he has Stan. This lineup has potential to be so deep. It has to live up to its potential.
Definitely.
So just, I think my perfect lineup has him batting 5th. But, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I think.
So then another thing, since we're already talking on Stanton, and I will tie this in. Spencer Jones is working with Judge's hitting coach, which I think is very good, because obviously, like, he's he's 6'6", like the 2 whatever, like big tower. They are very similar hitters. In the same type of sense, like they're big power guys, high on base, high strikeout, and like a pretty solid average. So I really like that personally. I know some people like just do not like Judge's hitting coach, like, at all.
I've seen a lot about that.
Yeah, just
honestly, I don't have an opinion on it because
I don't know enough either.
Exactly, but I've seen a lot of discourse about that.
Yeah, something about him like ruining kids' swings just to say they hit home runs or something.
From what I've seen, and again, I'm not a hitting coach. I'm not telling people how to hit, but I think it's a lot more launch angle based. So you're not necessarily swinging, barrel. You're
kind of like uppercutting. Kind of uppercutting.
Yes, it's more of an uppercut swing to get that launch angle. So I think, that's where the discourse starts.
Yeah.
But again,
didn't he like really work with him going into? I'm pretty sure either going into 2021 or 2022, he like really started to work with him.
Yeah, something like that.
With Judge, we're talking about, by the way.
Right.
And let me get out Judge's numbers in those 2 years. He came in also this year. He was on pace for about 60 home runs. In 2021, he had... Okay, I love how Baseball Reference just does that updating stuff. He had 39 home runs in 148 games. He had... I almost said 100 because I was looking at RBIs. 62 home runs in 157. In 106, he had 37 home runs. I mean, he's a good hitting coach. They have similar types of skill sets, and I don't know.
Look, hitting is such a philosophy-based, person-to-person, case-to-case, whatever you want to call it, thing. That look, if it works for Judge, great. If it works for Spencer Jones, great. If it doesn't, move on.
Yeah.
It's such a... There's a word I'm thinking of, but it's so case-to-case that... Yeah, basically.
But the way I'm tying this in with Stan, how many more years do you think Stan has if he doesn't turn it around? Like, how much more of a runway do you think they give him?
How many more years is on his contract?
I want to say 4 or 5.
4 is stuck in my head. I want to say 4 as well.
I feel like 2027 just sounds right. 2027 is last year. 2028, there's a club option for $25 million.
Right.
So 4 years. We'll say 4 years.
Right. 4 guaranteed years.
Yeah. 34 years old going into the season.
Right. I don't like how I was talking about Beatty. I know it's different.
That's what I was going to say. Not
necessarily make or break, but this could be the year where they start pushing out Stan.
I'd disagree.
Really?
I think it is make or break. Because when you look at this team, Stan's getting paid about $25 million a year. If you want to sign Soto, that's like half the money there. They're probably going to be paying. Because you're probably going to be paying Soto about, what, $50 a year? Like,
you'd think.
About that. You're probably going to be paying him an absurd amount of money. So what I think realistically happens is if he's not good, he's gone. Because then your outfield is Dominguez in center. Because they also need a left fielder. They didn't, Soto's not going to be your left fielder long term if you do extend him. What I think realistically is going to happen is going to be Jones in left. Because I've seen stuff that he may even come up this year. Right. I don't believe that strictly because of how many outfielders they have now. I don't think it's going to happen. But I think in 2024, your starting outfield is going to be Jones in left, Dominguez center, Judge / Soto in right. The other one's a DH.
Right.
That's what I think they're going for if Stanton doesn't turn it around.
Right.
So I think
that's fair. The issue is obviously the money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want, because I don't think they're ever going to outright, DFA.
You can't.
And right, you can't do that. So you're going to have to probably take on a lot of money, I would think. And I'm not saying it's going to happen unless you trade him to a team like the Mets who will eat that contract to get, a better return, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't want it to happen. But you're going to have to eat a lot of that money. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. Yeah. It's a sunk cost, and you just got to keep moving forward. It's what the Mets did on the deadline. If it's not helping...
It is also different because of years, but...
Right. But if it's not helping, and it's more so for the Yankees, if you're blocking the path forward, the future, then I think you have to bite the bullet and just eat it and go on.
Exactly. And that's also, who's to say that they don't, because Grisham, I think, has 1 more year, right? He has 2 years? I want to say, he has 2 years, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So he has 2 years of control, so he's going to be back next year, too. So, I think that it's very, because that also leads me to, Pereira. I think it's very likely he gets traded.
Right. Yeah.
Whether it be this year or next year. I think that he's,
Right.
Because I'll get into that soon, but, a lot of people are putting him in packages for, Corbin Burns or Dylan Cease. And, yeah.
He's expendable.
Exactly. Because he's, the 5th outfielder?
Right.
So it's your 5th outfielder having that much value, it's almost a bad thing not to trade them. If that, makes any sense.
Right, because then it's going to rot away in AAA.
Value
just not going to get any
plummets.
experience. Right.
Yeah. So, That I definitely think, and I don't think I have. Yeah, I have nothing more about the offense, so I might as well go with that perfect segue I accidentally made. So, on to the pitching. So obviously, miss out on Yamamoto. They said they want to get 2 starters. I think what's the most likely option, and this may honestly be my most preferred option, is going to be Montgomery and Montas, because
Yeah.
you're only giving money. You already gave a good amount of prospects for Juan Soto. So a lot of people are acting like they emptied the farm. That's just not true. Like, yeah, you
Right.
gave up stuff to get Soto, but you didn't empty the farm.
Right. I mean, Michael King's not a prospect.
No.
You know, Brito,
I'd say Brito,
like,
he's...
Brito kind of. Brito and
Yeah.
Vasquez are the prospect types, and obviously Thorpe.
Yeah.
But what else do you give up? Like,
Yeah.
you give up 3 minor league pitchers, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, I wouldn't say they sold the farm.
I don't think they sold the farm. And also, I think if you are trading for, like, a Corbin Burns, you're giving up, like, a Prairie and Praza. Like, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Because
Yeah,
he only has 1 year left, right?
correct.
Yeah, Prairie and Praza for 1 year Corbin Burns and taking on that money, I think that's realistic. Because I could
Yeah.
see something like him and Montas. I could see something like a Montgomery and a Shane Bieber. Which
Right.
I think that's a very interesting one. Because have you seen what the Guardians' asking price is on him?
I haven't seen anything on Bieber.
I haven't seen either, but I know there is
Yeah.
like a good chance he does get traded. I
Right.
would like that as a reclamation project. Put him in the Matt Blake pitching lab, like we said with Cody Morris. He's been with Matt Blake in the past.
Right.
And
if Bieber's like your
5.
call it, yeah,
5.
4 or 5,
That's insane.
that's incredible.
Like, and what was I gonna say? I saw a lot of people saying that they're out on Bieber because they already made a trade with the Guardians.
It doesn't mean anything.
I think it's just one of those things of, right now they knew they wanted to do Florial for Cody Morris, so they'd be like, okay, before anything else happens, let's just get this done so that we can like treat the offseason like other things, but we're still gonna be in talks for Bieber. That's kind of what
Right,
it sounds
we'll
like to me.
circle back.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Mets last season and the trade deadline. They traded Escobar to the Angels,
Mhm.
and a month later, they then traded Dominic Leone to the Angels.
Yeah.
So just because you trade with a team once doesn't mean you can't trade them, next week.
Mhm.
If the Yankees want to give up something for Bieber, the Guardians are going to listen.
You still have 3 months till the season starts.
Right.
So I think I'm like all out on Cease. Like I don't, because he's a good pitcher.
Too much.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm seeing they want like Spencer Jones plus like Praza and Praria.
Right. Way
That
too
is
much. I understand he has
way
2
too
years of
much.
control,
I don't care.
but too much in my opinion.
That's way too much. Like
Yeah.
that is way too much. I would much rather give like Praza Praria and something else for Corbin Burns.
Right. Definitely.
And I'm just gonna say this guy before I get into like Montgomery, because I am gonna go a lot more into him and Snell. We are not trading for Luis Castillo. Just stop.
Oh my God.
Just stop already. Like,
For the Mariners' sake too, and just
look at
Mariners
baseball
fans,
trade
like,
value says that it's a fair trade to give Peraza and Ferreira. No. Like, I think baseball trade value overdoes it on how much money a guy's getting on his contract.
Yeah.
Because they also showed the same thing of Castillo for Cole and Judge is a fair trade based off baseball
Right.
trade values. They
Right.
overdo it on the money. It's not happening. They gave up a haul to get him. It's not gonna happen. Just stop. Like it's
Hush.
as much as I would love it. It's not
Right.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
But going into kind of like the 2 marquee guys on the free agent market, Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery, I do not want Blake Snell at all. Listen, he had 2 good years. He has never
Far
pitched
away.
never pitched more than 100 or he's never pitched more than 180 innings in his career.
Right.
And he's so inconsistent. The fact that he has 2 Cy Youngs is crazy. He only pitched 180
Yeah,
innings in both those years. When was the last time a Cy Young has pitched? Like, I can't think of another guy that's pitched like under 200 innings, one Cy Young.
Yeah, I think that
It's
it's
like,
becoming a little more common now, I will say. Like that
but
200
still,
innings mark is just not being hit. But yeah,
for a Cy Young
besides
though,
his two Cy Young years, 107, 50 innings in 2020, 128, 128.
that
The guy does not pitch deep into games.
in
He's a 5 inning pitcher.
I saw a report that, and by the way, he averaged 5 2/3 innings in the most innings in his career. I saw something that like he could be like his asking price could go up to like 6,200 or like 7,200. No, I think Jordan Montgomery at max gets like 6,150. I would
Yeah.
in a heartbeat rather give it to Montgomery. In a
I mean,
heartbeat.
pick
I think
your poison.
I
but
think
yeah,
25 million for Montgomery is fair for 6 years. Because if you
it's
look at
the
Montgomery's,
years. It's the years. 6 years.
but like he was hurt in the beginning of his career. Ever since then, he's been pretty good. Like
Right.
he is
but
a
he's
guy
what?
that
31, 32.
30 right now. He is. Let me check. He turned 31 yesterday.
Happy birthday, Jordan
Happy
Montgomery.
happy birthday. No, but you look at like some of his numbers and let me get to it. So 2017, his rookie year, he had a 3.88 ERA, started 29 games. 2020 started 10 games, which is kind of like the max you really could have started. Didn't have a good ERA, but still. 2021, 30 starts and a 3.83 ERA. 2022, 32 starts, 3.48 ERA overall. 2023, 32 starts, 3.2 ERA. I think that if his name wasn't Jordan Montgomery, Yankee fans would be all over him.
Definitely.
If it wasn't like they didn't want a new toy, this would be the guy they were going all in for.
Right. I think the other thing is, do you think Jordan Montgomery wants to come back, or would be open to coming back?
Forgot to
after
talk
how
about
things
that.
ended?
Let me just I think so. He said that he wants to, like there's a lot of reports coming out that he wants to pitch in the Northeast. So, okay. Who's there? You have Boston. They're not going
Right.
to pay him. I'm pretty sure they said they're not even going to come close to paying him. The Mets,
Yeah.
I don't think that, and you've said this multiple times, you don't see him going to the
Right.
Mets because it doesn't fit their
Yeah.
system. Who else is there?
Right.
He's a gamer.
Do you-
He shoved in the postseason. Where else is he going to go? Like, if he wants
Yeah.
that money, and it's true he wants to play in the Northeast.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's tough because if that's the case, then you're gonna have to look elsewhere. But
I think
I don't
it's
know.
realistic that I think he's going to come back. I
Really.
think what they want to do is they want to get him, and then they want to get a reclamation project as their last starter. Whether that be a
Right.
Montas, it be a Bieber, it be, who knows, maybe even a Giolito. I wouldn't even say that's a reclamation project, but like still,
Right.
it's
I think
like,
that's more hoping for a bounce back.
yeah, that's kind of what I mean. So,
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance that they get Jordan Montgomery, and honestly, I'd love it because I don't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure they told him like, don't use this one. I think it was like a sinker or something. They said like the Yankees,
Yeah.
don't use the sinker. He went everywhere else, started using the sinker, started going off. He stopped using the sinker. I think this year in St. Louis wasn't as good. Used it a lot more with the Rangers, came a lot better.
Right.
So it's one of
Right.
those.
But
Go on.
if the Yankees' philosophy is not to use that pitch, and if I'm not, obviously you would hope that they would listen to him and kind of be like, all right, it works for you, we're going to use it, which I think that's how pitching coaches should be.
Yep.
Not trying to, make them pitch differently, like use their strengths.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being over dramatic. I think that relationship is a little strained because of how things ended, and they weren't going to put him on the postseason roster, stuff like that. Like, not to the extent, but it's kind of how like Zach Wheeler in the Mets.
You reminded me of something, by the way.
Was a lot worse for the Mets, but I don't know. I think that relationship's a little more strained
Yeah.
than it's led to be on. But go ahead.
I completely forgot to mention this. I had it in my head that I was going to, but I forgot. He was absolutely beloved in the clubhouse. Everyone, him and Judge came up the same year. I'm pretty sure
Right.
they were like really good friends. He had a good relationship with Cole, with Nestor. when he got traded in 2022, the Yankees were so much worse, and you could tell they just didn't have that energy. It was like something that they had was missing. So I don't think that and Cashman does have a history of bringing guys back that he traded away.
Right. Yeah.
Wells. I know there's like a couple other guys I can't remember off the top of my head. Chapman, Davis, or not Davis. I can't think of the guy's name. There's like 2 or 3 other guys that like he's either let go or he traded away, brought them back. So
Right.
I don't. Albert Abreu, that's different, but still.
Right. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's big of it. I think it'll be fine. I don't think that's going to be playing as much. Maybe he could use it in leverage for contracts.
Right.
Who knows? But I don't know. He's shown he can play in New York. He's a lefty, so it's not going to be as many lefties going to be able to be pull happy. I don't know. I think it would be a great deal. I don't think it's that much. Like
I do. I think he will age better than most because he's not a power pitcher. I would consider more of
and he also really hasn't pitched
finesse
much.
pitcher.
He hasn't pitched much in his career.
Right, but 6 years, you're looking at a 35, 36, 37-year-old
36
Jordan
he would be.
Montgomery. Right. The max I would do is 5. Max.
I'm perfectly fine with 6. Because I think they need a guy like him. Like, I think he'd be your 2. Easily. I mean, like, it's literally just a thing of his name.
Right.
Like, in the last 2 years, he had a 3.48 ERA and a 3.2. Year before that, a 3.83. 30 starts, 32 starts, 32 starts. Shown he could shove in the postseason.
If you're paying him $25 million for a 3.5 to a 3.8, I don't think that's worth it.
But what about the 3.2? Like
1 year.
Still.
1 year? What do you mean still? That like his career.
It's also a thing of he eats
middle.
It's also a thing of he started pitching a different way, and you could tell him pitching a different way correlates with him being a better pitcher.
Right.
And it also being a thing of, show me a guy that get you 30, 32, 32 starts.
Lucas Giolito.
And what's he doing?
Right. No, I get it. I think he's going to get overpaid.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I think...
And that's always where we differ.
There's some guys that you're just going to have to overpay. And...
That's just the market.
That's the market. You're going to have to overpay for every guy. I think this is a great contract. I think it would be a good contract. Because keep in mind, he missed 2018 and 2019 with Tommy John. So he didn't have any innings then, really. Pitched in 2020, so it's like he doesn't really have that much wear on his elbow, on his arm.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that people are... I think it's one of those things of he hasn't pitched nearly as much, but he's built up to be a pitcher, so it won't be as big of an issue.
Maybe. I would like to be proven wrong. I think he's a great pitcher. I wouldn't like to be on the wrong side of that contract.
I just think when you also include how he is in the clubhouse and how much guys just absolutely like adore him in that clubhouse, like he was at Michael King's wedding, for example, and I don't know.
I agree to disagree.
If his name was anything other than Jordan Montgomery, Yankee fans would want him so badly. Same thing with Frankie Montas.
Most likely.
So,
you barely got to see Montas.
That's my thing with Montas. Cashman, he's going to want to bring him back because you traded a good amount for Montas. You're going to at least want to see it through.
Right. You barely got to see like anything.
You didn't see
from
anything.
Montas. You got what? 50 innings?
That may be generous. I think that's...
Yeah, I think that's completely overblown.
I think that's like maybe 25. I mean,
So what, he pitched 1 inning?
He pitched 39 innings in 2022. Bullshit.
Okay.
He pitched 1.1 innings this year.
You got 40 innings out of him.
He pitched 8 games last year, 1 game this year, which was in relief.
Right. So, I think it makes sense. I think there's.
He also had a 6.35 ERA the last year. I will say he did look good this year. I know. as I was saying, because of technical difficulties, I would like him back on a cheap deal. So it's like, because you never know. He's not good. DFA him. Who cares? Just
Right.
Yeah.
No such thing as a bad 1-year deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I have. Let me just double checking over my notes. Yeah, that's all I got. Anything else you wanted to add?
I do not. Obviously, again, holidays, not much goes on, but still lots of off season left. Plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty of free agents too. So
Yeah.
there's stuff definitely to look forward to.
So,
But,
Nick's gonna wrap it up because I hate doing the outro.
okay, cool. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Again, always follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We've been more active on TikTok, so make sure to check that out as well. And this will probably be our last episode of this year.
Definitely.
Our first full year is wrapping up, so thank all of you guys for watching and supporting us. We're really excited for the new year. Can't wait to get started, and so happy holidays, happy New Year's, and we'll see you in the next year.
See you guys.